It's part three of our conversation with the great bassist vocalist Shem von Schroeck, and we talk about doing the work. That's what gets you through doors. That's what gets you to play with people like Kenny Loggins, Loggins in Messina, Don Felder, and the boys in Toto. And by the way, he said Toto, they travel really well, and a whole bunch more. I'm John Beaudin from Rocky Street Music. This is part three of our conversation with Shem von Schroeck, one of my favorite interviews of the year. In this one, he talks about his dad starting as a drummer, which I didn't know he was a drummer first before a bass player. How working with Kenny Loggins, an artist of that ilk like Toto, keeps you on your toes. He talks about how Toto travels really well and takes care of their musicians. And as I mentioned off the top, doing the work and being happy about it and saying, I'm glad I did the work. I'm glad I'm at this level. Part three of our conversation with Shem von Schroeck. At what point did you start playing, and at what point did you know you could do something with it?
My dad tells a story. I started on drums. My dad tells a story that he was sitting down to eat dinner after a long session that he came home from, and he was listening to an Oscar Peterson record where it's just a piano, bass, and another instrument. There's no drums. And he said, I'm hearing drums on this record. What's going on? He came down and I was playing time to, I don't even remember this. He said I was playing in time with the Oscar Peterson record. So my dad started on drums too. So it's in the blood. Yeah. My playing bass, and I played piano as a kid and still play a lot now. But the bass started because my brother was going to be the bass player in the family. My dad said somebody in this house has to play something other than drums. So he got my brother an old Fender Mustang bass. And he played it a little bit, but it basically just sat against the wall. And I picked it up, started playing it, and it came naturally. But I never thought I'd ever make a living as a bass player. It's not something I ever thought I'd do. But a high vocalist singing bass player is going to work. That's right. in demand. Somebody's going to want that. So I've worked consistently because of that combination of skills.
When did you become professional?
Well, my dad was hiring me to play drums on his recording sessions in New York City studios. I played with Will Lee when he was on bass when I was 15, and Marcus Miller when I was 17. Wow. With me on drums and those guys on bass. Just the sessions that my dad was doing, he'd hire the musicians, and he was like, "I think you're ready now," and he would hire me.
Have you kept your chops up on drums?
It's like riding a bike.
Really?
I'll tell you a quick story. I was rehearsing for an opera performance. Yeah. It was just rehearsal, and I wasn't with Kenny Loggins at the time. I was on the interim, and the guys came through Phoenix, where I live, and the tour manager said, "Our drummer is deathly ill with the flu. Could you come down and play the show on drums?" I said, "Guys, I got the dress rehearsal. I don't know if I can do it." He goes, "Well, what if we held the concert back to corporate? We hold it back till 10 o'clock. I said, "Okay." I'd never played Kenny's show before, but next thing I know is I'm being escorted through security through the bowels of the building. I show up on stage and play the show. And I'd never played drums on the show before, but it's just what you do. It's what the moment required.
That's pretty amazing, man. I haven't played on a kit for 2 years, and mind you, I always say I'm the worst drummer in the world. That's why my son's a really good drummer. I mean, when he played Rosanna and Luke, I hadn't talked to Luke yet at that point. Luke says, "That's the shit, man. That's the shit." And my son, who was like 9, Chase says, "Is that good?" I said, "That's good." In the music industry, you've played with a lot of people. I'm familiar with them all. What's been the most challenging? I mean, if you look back at your career, and it seems like it's only getting better, what's been the most challenging part of this ride for you?
Every situation comes with challenges. You have to deal with different personalities. I mean, basically, you're living with your bandmates. You're living together. It's not just, people just see the 2 hours on stage every night. The rest of the 22 hours, you're actually living together. So there's always going to be somebody that's maybe doesn't see things the way you do or whatever. Is that a challenge? You just navigate through it. I've been touring for 30 years as a professional. Nothing really surprises me anymore. You know what to expect. I have to say, and this is credit to the Toto production staff. They really know how to travel. They take good care of us. Toto travels well. You can't say that about all organizations, that they travel well, but Toto does. And musically, it's I've been such a fan of this music, a lot of the music I've played, Loggins music, Toto music, that it's a joy, not a challenge to play the music. It's a privilege and a joy.
But everyone has one thing in common, and Shem, you probably won't be surprised by this. They'll tell me a story like you just told me, and all I want to say is, yeah, but you got there because you did your homework. But consciously, is there ever a point in your career, it's probably happened a lot of times, I'm putting words in your mouth, but haven't you thought, God, I'm glad I spent the time? Because you walk into a room with the Toto guys, and how many people can do that? Not a lot of people. Bass player who can sing high. But isn't there, have you ever like checked in with yourself and said things like, God, I'm glad I did the work?
I've been appreciative of the work and of the preparation and the gaining of the craftsmanship through experience. And every situation I've been in prior always helps the new situation. For example, Kenny Loggins is speaking of taskmasters. Musicians are playthings for his amusement. Okay, we're not people. We're playthings for his amusement when he's working, and he's always thinking. He's one of those guys that you wonder, like, just because you can doesn't mean you should. But he's always experimenting. Well, what if you sang this? I mean, he'll literally say, on the second chorus, you sing the middle part and you sing the high part. And he'll switch our parts just to try it.
Wow.
And you have to deliver. You've got to deliver what he's asking for. So that sharpens your skills. That type of thing, that type of, I will say, manic approach to music that you're trying to help. And as his music director, you have to really facilitate that, right? Yeah. So you walk into a situation, Toto wants you to do something maybe outside the box or whatever, you're ready for it because you've been through that. It's like athletics. You play for a coach that's demanding, and then you go to another team and you're asked to do something that's maybe outside the box. It's mental awareness more than anything. It's mental preparation. It's mental. It's the experience that is what fine tunes your abilities.
Keeps you on your toes, but it teaches. I love
yes.
that. I talked to Jim Messina, I think a year and a half ago. Real interesting character. Did you work with Loggins and Messina or just Kenny?
Yeah, I did the 2005, the first reunion tour in 2005. There's a DVD out of that from the Santa Barbara Bowl. Yeah, I did that tour.
I found Jim Messina to be one of the most fascinating, quirky guys I've ever talked to. And I don't mean quirky in a bad way. He remembers dates, but when I tell people the story, everyone says, well, hockey players do that. Football players do. Musicians remember where they were. Daryl Sturmer told me once, I said, I saw you on the first tour of the Genesis 1980. He says, oh, yeah, do you remember when that happened? What?
Lukather has a great memory for that too. Lukather's real sharp with dates and times. With you would think with the partying and all that went on in those days, he remembers every show and where they were. He's very sharp that way. Yeah. And it's very impressive.
Have you ever thought of documenting your career and writing a book?
There have been times where I've thought privately, boy, I could write a book about this, and that person wouldn't be happy. Yeah. But would I? No. That would make me feel good for about a half a second, and then I'd regret it.
We'll have part 4 of our conversation with Shem von Schroeck coming up in a few days. Check out his Facebook page. Right at the top of the description of this video, you can join his Facebook page and follow his career. He's got a lot of exciting things coming up. Make sure you comment on our video, subscribe to our channel, and share our videos. I'm John Beaudin from Rock History Music.